Thanks for listening to the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse. Check out more great podcasts today on one of these awesome affiliate networks.
You're listening to a Weeby Geeks Network podcast.
You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The Tangibound Network. Check it out. TangiboundNetwork.com. Listen to this show, the latest episode, every time.
A proud member of the Gonna Geek Network. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other geeky podcasts over at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready, because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
On this week's episode, Disney makes even more big movie changes. Why PlayStation owners need to be concerned, and should Wrestlemania stay a 2-day event? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse.
Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.
And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows, and if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at Pop Culture Cosmos, and our other great options as well. For instance, if you're into tabletop RPG gaming, go ahead and check us out almost every day of the week, because we're on Twitch on Pop Culture Cosmos, YouTube on Pop Culture Cosmos, and Facebook on Pop Culture Cosmos. We're on every single day of the week covering the latest in tabletop RPG gaming almost each and every day. So please check us out there. And for the folks that love their basketball in the NBA, Laker Tom and I just did a tremendous 2-hour NBA deadline coverage. We had hundreds of fans watching us from all over. We had responses from Jordan, the Philippines, Singapore, Canada, all over, talking about the latest and greatest stuff that was going on. We talk about, do we analyze the trades? We go over everything that we can in detail on our NBA trade deadline special. And we truly appreciate everyone out there that listens to that on the Lakers Fast Break channel as well. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He's our own superstar on Twitter and Instagram at CastlePCC with a K. It is a good man indeed. You got to follow what he's doing as far as the drone action out there. And thank you so much for the heart knowing and fine. He's got the workshop built. Sooner or later, he's going to go live on Twitch with all of his stuff going ahead and talking about drones and dealing with all that cool stuff out there. He's the man I was trying to mess with before he went on air, but he wasn't paying attention to me at all. It is Marcus De La Garza. And Marcus, I was making like blah, 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 funny noises, funny faces, blah, 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 while we were going on the air. But unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately for you, you didn't see a thing.
When we get into the countdown for the live show, Gerald, I kind of get in a zone over here, and I shut down a little bit, to be honest. So I didn't catch you distracting me, but, we've got a really good show here, man. We've got a lot of things to talk about, and we've got some fun things to talk about, man. It's going to be a great day.
It is going to be a great thing indeed. In fact, we will talk about your favorite subject in the world, movie delays, coming up. But there are some I think they're definitive. I'm pretty sure they're definitive dates and also things that are happening with some of the Disney and Marvel movies that are coming up. Plus also as well, we're going to be talking about some issues or potential concerns for PlayStation 4 owners and PlayStation 5 owners, because not only is Marcus going to be talking about some things going on with your PlayStation 4, but TJ Johnson will be here in a few minutes as well, coming up talking about some issues with the PlayStation 5 that he has concerns over. Plus also as well, we've got Andrew Smith, formerly of GameSpot and IGN. He's coming up on the back half of the show talking about a Kickstarter project which he'd love to see, and I tell you what, I would love to see come to fruition. I hope you get a chance to back this project. It is from Gamers Magazine. That's from Gamers Magazine, now available on Kickstarter. There's just a few days left, so please, as of this recording, just a few days left. So please, you've got to go ahead and support this great and awesome video game magazine. I talked to him at length on the back half of the show coming up. Plus, also as well, Marcus and I are going to be talking about Wrestlemania on the back half of the show. Should it stay, because it currently is a 2-day event, but right now the next 2 Wrestlemanias are scheduled for only 1 day. Should it stay a 2-day event? We're going to talk about that in part 1 of our Wrestlemania preview coming up as well. But first, my friend, I know you've been checking out some Oscar favorites. I know a lot of people are talking about Mank. A lot of people are talking about Nomadland. A lot of people talking about The Five Bloods. Minari sneaking in there as well. I want to hear your thoughts. You said you've checked out not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of the potential Best Picture candidates. Let's hear your thoughts on who you think might be the best out of the bunch you've seen so far.
Yeah, Gerald, I do want to preface this with the fact that I have not seen The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari, nor The Sound of Metal yet. However, I have seen Mank, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, and Trial of Chicago 7. And I do have to tell you, Promising Young Woman might be one of my favorite movies I've seen in the last few years.
The controversial decisions that was made just recently is that Promising Young Woman will not be coming to U.S. theaters, or will not be introduced into U.S. theaters as far as in a wide audience, which is kind of controversial, the fact that we're now opening up again theaters and that it's going straight to VOD. So kind of disappointed to hear that, because like you said, Promising Young Woman is getting a lot of good buzz. The writer, director, they're all getting as far as the acclaim that they deserve and getting a lot of projects from it. They're getting a lot of that notice in Hollywood, which is the key. You've got a good project, so everybody wants to go ahead and
put you in their next project.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me your thoughts on all these great films that you've checked out so far.
Yeah, I mean, we just literally watched Promising Young Woman last night, rented it on Amazon, for $6.99, $5.99, whatever it was. Outstanding movie. But, the next one up on the list was Mank, man. I think Mank is an outstanding film, shot on red cameras in black and white. It was beautifully done. For me, it was a really enjoyable experience. It was a visually stunning movie to me, even though it was only black and white. But they did some wonderful things with the sets and the costuming. Other than that, dude, Nomadland, wow. Really, really heart-wrenching tale. At the same time, puts a very real spin on some of the things that have touched communities across the nation, and lets you know that there's people out there that are really roughing it. And sometimes roughing it is living in a van and going from community to community looking for your next job. So, obviously, The Trial of Chicago 7, great film. Sacha Baron Cohen, we've talked about it ad nauseum. This movie, he really put on display this year the things he could do. And speaking of which, Borat's subsequent movie film was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. Sacha Baron Cohen all over the place this year, man. If I really had to bank on something right now, it'd be Promising Young Woman. Outstanding film, really great action, but at the same time, no action at all. I mean, I can't explain how much of an intimidating presence the lead actress was at times, but at the same time, she was a very friendly, opening person. So other than that, dude, I'm really looking forward to seeing Minari. We're going to be watching that tomorrow night. So, I mean, I can give some tweets, let the people know what I think. But, it's for me right now, Promising Young Woman's got the lead. Minari, I've watched the trailer. I've seen who's involved with it. Stephen Yeun, Glenn from The Walking Dead. It's going to be a really interesting film. We watched the trailer a couple times last night, actually, because watched it before Promising Young Woman, watched it after, and we kind of rolled the dice. It was, are we going to stay up late and watch Minari as well? So we ended up not doing that. But, hey, I'm really looking forward to this, Gerald. I don't know about you. Have you seen any of these movies yet?
I'm still going to go ahead and check out quite a few of these as we get closer to the Oscar date. I do a cram session as we get closer. So
okay. You try to do it all on a weekend or something?
Yeah, I try to do it all on a weekend so I can take a really good look at it. I was disappointed that Borat didn't get the nom as far as one of the noms, because I thought it was just such a sensational movie. It was one of my top 3 films of last year. But you know what? I'm still looking at this as a great time to go ahead and be a movie fan, because there's still some good movies. Even in a year where it was considered a down year by the industry standards, it was still a lot of great and emotional movies out there. So I'm looking forward to checking all those great movies out. Minari is the one I'm probably looking forward to the most because of what it does and the historical nature of this. as far as for the Asian American community and the Asian community in general is what it's doing. So I'm really looking forward to that. Obviously, The Five Bloods, and of course, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom in the case for looking at seeing, the great performance that was left for us by Chadwick Boseman. So I'm looking forward to checking that out as well.
Dude, we just watched that on Sunday night. Wow. I mean, I do have to say that man put on an impressive performance, and you can tell he was hurting at the end there, or, hurting when he filmed this. Severely underweight, I think for him that time, and very emotional. It was one of those things that, going in, you can tell it was a stage play before it hit the big screen. And you just have to accept that. There's a little bit of a roundabout way to that movie, but you have to remember that these were actors giving speeches or giving monologues on a stage prior to this coming up on the big screen. So,
yep. So we'll be looking at it more in depth as it gets closer to the Oscars date, as far as who will be the favorites going in. So I will definitely take a look at all these films, or as much as I can, in regards to that, and we'll go ahead and give you our Oscar favorites in all the major categories coming up on an Oscar preview show in the coming weeks. But right now, speaking of movies, there's more to talk about when it concerns what's going on with Disney and Marvel and all that. Disney made yet again some more changes earlier this week. I know you love those delays, my friend.
Yep.
I know you love those delays more than anything, but I want to go ahead and quickly run down what happened as far as Disney and Marvel. But I think for this big film, Black Widow, is finally a definitive answer on that. It's going to be released. I think it's been pushed back from May 7th. It did get pushed back to July. So I think with that, why do I think it's so certain? Because they now announced that not only is it going to debut in July 9th instead of May 7th, but it will be day and date on Disney Plus with the extra added $30. There is still speculation on how well that's going to do, because of the fact that Raya and the Last Dragon, I think from all the analysts that are out there, are perceiving that it has not done well both on the box office and also has not done well on the Premier Access for Disney Plus. So this is a gamble for Disney on how well it will do, but we will see. It's going to debut July 9th, and I am going to buy it, and I am going to watch it first day. That's for sure. Cruella is now going to premiere on Disney Plus at the same time that they open at theaters. So I think that is still up in question.
Dude, I'm happy about the day and date stuff, man.
Yeah.
You can't argue about it.
Yeah, and you can't argue with that. But May 28th, that one has not been targeted. Oh, actually, that one has also been targeted, Cruella, as a Premier Access title. That one I'm kind of up in the air on how well it will do on Premier Access. But that will be day and date on Disney Plus with a $30 fee as well. Because Black Widow is coming out in July, Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings was bumped back to September. So now, again, that's still going to be something we're looking forward to in September, on September 3rd. Luca will not play in theaters. It's heading straight to Disney Plus with no extra costs on June 18th. I think with some of the Pixar, well, I mean, it's good for us as fans, but I think it shows a lack of confidence by Disney on how well some of these unknown IPs that Pixar puts out there. If it had been let's say a Toy Story or an Incredibles, that's going to be doing day and date with Premier Access where people pay $30. With something like Luca, tell me your thoughts on this being a smarter move, because they're unsure on how this will play out to audiences.
Yeah, man, this was really interesting to me that we're doing this with it. I really perceived this movie as being a theatrical release because Pixar has done such big movies in the past. I honestly didn't see this one going for free on Disney Plus June 18th. But I'm okay with it, dude. This is a great way to kind of extend the wealth to the family, right? We've been charging people a premium on some of these other movies. I think this is a goodwill gesture by Disney at this point to make sure that their fan base is happy. And we know that Pixar knocks it out of the park every time almost every time with a film, right? It's been a while since they've had a pretty big miss. But I'm looking forward to this Luca, man. It's going to be a great thing. I'm not upset about it being, going for free on Disney Plus. I think there's a lot of people in the industry that are worried about it, and you kind of let us in with that question there. This is a great thing, Gerald, and I think we're gearing up to see a bigger push towards day and date, and then possibly even Disney Plus mirroring that HBO Max presence and saying, we're not going to charge you anything extra here. Just have some content. Let's just go. Let's keep this rolling. And if I was Disney Plus, dude, I'm going to try and keep their momentum rolling as much as they can, because as you guys talked about on Monday, Falcon and Winter Soldier crushed. And
absolutely, it is the highest rated premiere of all time on Disney Plus, beating The Mandalorian, beating Soul, beating WandaVision. It is the highest premiere of all time. So that's great news for Disney.
Yeah, and so let's just keep that goodwill going. We'll give you guys a few free titles here and there. Hey, I think it's a great strategy. I don't think I know I was the one that said that WandaVision would have the bigger premiere here, and you made me eat my words.
Well, just because Falcon and Winter Soldier, it came out second, so everybody's now expecting something in regards to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Plus, it's more of a traditional MCU style movie, which again, I think people were more comfortable with. But, people grew to love WandaVision. It crashed Disney Plus not once, but it crashed Disney Plus twice. So I'm expecting that kind of volume for Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well.
Yeah, I think as the episodes keep coming out, one of the big critiques I heard from a lot of my coworkers was, why weren't they on screen together? And you've got to set the stage. You've got all this time throughout the season to put Falcon and Winter Soldier together on screen. It's going to take some time, but we're fine. We've got time to develop the storyline, and I think Marvel is doing an outstanding job. Marvel/Disney is doing an outstanding job with this one. The critiques I've heard so far on Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm not worried about it. It's going to keep plowing through and being a great IP for them.
You and I and Josh have enjoyed what we've seen so far from Falcon and Winter Soldier, so I'm continuing to like what I see. So I'm hoping that this episode number 2, as you hear this on podcast outlets and radio stations everywhere, is already dropped. We will be going ahead and giving our review of episode 2 on the Monday show. But before we head to the break, my friend, I wanted to let everybody know out there that Free Guy, August 13th, The Kingsman, now to December 22nd. Deep Water is now January 14th on 2022, and Death of the Nile is now pushed back to February 11th, 2022. I think with the Army Hammer news and all the stuff that's going on with him and the allegations, which are very damaging, that's going to be something that's a little bit troubling for Disney right now. So even though that looks to be like something that could make a lot of money for them because it's a sequel to obviously Murder on the Orient Express, which was a big hit, Death on the Nile could be something that's very, I don't know, because of all the bad news that's happened because of Army Hammer is concerned. But again, it is something that there's more changes. We will see if any of those movies I just mentioned will come day and date to Disney Plus. We'll see if that happens or if they'll drop on Disney Plus. So there'll be more changes. I have a feeling there's going to be more changes in store for some of these films. But what are your thoughts out there on getting what I think is a definitive answer on when Black Widow is going to drop and how it's going to drop? Because it's going to drop right now, according to what they're saying, July 9th, day and date to Disney Plus and also theaters. What are your thoughts out there on all the Marvel and Disney changes? Please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com.
Thanks for checking out the PCC, the Pop Culture Cosmos. We'll be back in one moment.
For the latest news and information, analysis and opinions on the Los Angeles Lakers and the NBA, check out the Lakers Fast Break podcast today on wherever you get your podcasts. Well, my friend, there's still much more to talk about on today's program. Before we head into a conversation that I have with TJ Johnson coming up right here on the PlayStation 5 and its controller drift problem, which is a concern for anybody who has a Nintendo Switch and now a PlayStation 5, I want to go ahead and talk to you real quick. You brought up something that was mentioned on IGN in regards to PlayStation 4 owners. And there's only over 100 million out there. So the PS4 I'm looking at now, my own, the Uncharted one that I love so much, you're telling me there might be a potential problem with that one as well?
Yeah, the joke that I've heard so far is they're ticking time bombs. They're not going to explode. They're not going to do anything like that. It's the CMOS battery that actually runs on the motherboard itself is a little 2032 battery. It's one of the little nickel-sized, quarter-sized batteries that runs.
You go and get them at the store for a few bucks.
Yeah, 99 cents for a whole pack of 4 or 5 of them. That battery actually has a lifespan, and there's units that have had this issue already where those batteries were maybe defective. Those batteries control a very specific thing. They control your access to the PS4 trophy system. It keeps your internal clock working correctly, and so you can't game the system at that point. You can't fast forward your date and all of a sudden get an extra 40 hours of game time added to your account. Nothing like that can happen. This is a big deal in the sense that I'm kind of shocked that we've run the life of these devices already. Was this maybe a bad call on the battery model that was used? By model, I mean size. this is really unexpected, but it's a quick fix. The problem is you're going to have to break your warranty to do it. You got to move those stickers off the back of your PS4 as you unscrew those special T4 screws. From there, man, it's going to be just a quick fix. But this isn't something that's going to be a big intimidating thing for a lot of consumers, and it almost feels like it's a intentional end of life scheme that was possibly used by Sony. I'm not saying that they did, and I don't even have support for that.
Oh, you're insinuating it, man. You're hinting at it.
I have no support for that. I'm just throwing it out there. It kind of feels like it was almost a strategic. We'll get this thing just far enough, and then
we'll get them into PS5s whether they like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, how many kids are gonna, have their PS4 die, and then mom and dad don't know how to fix it? They don't Google it. They don't understand how to, open up the case and replace a 2032. I'm sure there's a percentage that'll end up being just.
And the thing is, the second market on that for people not throwing away or trying to give it, to some people who fair or just, hey, can you have this parts at the local, like GameStop? I mean, the kind of second market for them. They'll have probably a stack of CR2032 batteries waiting to just go ahead and say, oh, you have a problem? We'll pay you $20 for this PlayStation 4. Okay, it's dead. That's fine. They just go in, they did it fixed, and they can sell it for $100. There you go.
And you can't hate on that happening. Yeah, you can't hate on that. Yeah,
no.
It's definitely one of those things. It's just like, man, it's going to be an easy fix, and there's going to be a lot of people that switch over to a PS5.
If you can do it, no problem at all, because I know that they are aware of this problem, I'm sure already. And, any other game store and all, how they refurbish, quote unquote, all their systems and all their units, quote unquote. And I've seen on YouTube videos how they refurbish their units on that. Yeah, right.
They just wipe them down.
Yeah, exactly. So you could go walk into a GameStop, and they'll give you like maybe $10 for the dead unit, and they know how to turn around and fix it. And again, they'll sell it for $150. So I could clearly see that happening and being a big business for people out there with that, if that happens. But very concerning for a lot of individuals out there that play the heart out of their PlayStation 4. And again, there's over 100 million PlayStation 4 units, and not everybody's willing to go ahead and just jump into a PlayStation 5 because it is still $400 and $500 out there. So I think a lot of people will go ahead and, make this happen as far as the PlayStation 4 it'll cut out. I'm sure a lot of these will cut out in the not too distant future, like the 3 Rings of Death did for the Xbox 360s going way back then and all that. But that was coming at, the beginning or the middle of the life cycle for those Xbox 360s. I think that was just a design flaw on the part of the Xbox 360.
Right.
This is something like you're saying, it could be something that, you never know. Sony might have planned this out, but you can't say for sure, but my gosh, this could be something that Sony might have played that out.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, there's more to talk about right now because I've got an interview coming up with TJ Johnson. And then after the break, it is Andrew Smith from Gamers Magazine. That's from Gamers Magazine on Kickstarter. Please support it today. There's just a few days left. He's got a great concept for a new video game magazine. Please support it. It's Andrew Smith. But first, it's TJ Johnson on why he is concerned about the PlayStation 5.
You're listening to the Pop Culture Cosmos.
I want to go ahead and touch on this before we head on out, my friend, and that is you're a little bit frustrated. You're a little bit frustrated with PlayStation because you've had some things going on with PlayStation. So tell me, with your PlayStation 5, what is the problem and how can PlayStation fix it?
Okay. All right. So let's be clear. I love gaming on all systems. My home has always been Microsoft. It's always been Microsoft. Now, my first console that I purchased as an adult was an Xbox, the OG Xbox. So I've always been a Microsoft guy. However, I've always owned a PlayStation. So my history of PlayStation runs deeper than my history with Microsoft. But let me explain where this is going. So having a PlayStation 5 was exciting, right? It's the new thing. Everybody wanted it, and I was able to get one. It was very exciting. I remember putting a picture up, talking about, I got my controller already. I was ready. I was excited to go. And I still am. Being able to play Spider-Man, Miles Morales was an awesome experience. Being able to go through and play these games in this 4K and this 60 frames per second and this fast loading, it was just incredible, right? So here's where Sony goes a little left for me, right? The controller feels great, but the fact that they're already having recalls, or not recalls, but they're already having issues with you're getting drift stick. We've only had this thing, since November? It's 5 months in, and people are already experiencing drift stick. It's a bit ridiculous to me. And the fact that they haven't outright deny that it's happened, but the fact that you guys had to put this thing through testing. So you've been having joystick issues since PlayStation 3. Like, we are on the PlayStation 5. This is years removed from that. And we're still talking about drift stick on your product. So one of the things that Microsoft has never had, I've never had an issue with the joystick on Microsoft, except when I got the Elite controller. But as far as the retail packaged controller, I could plug one in from the Xbox One, the very original, the OG Xbox One, and it's still going to work. So there's frustration in that regard. That's number one. Number two, just a couple of days ago, they released the Avengers game for the next gen consoles, right?
Yes.
So for the Xbox Series S and X, and also for the PlayStation 5, they released the upgrade. Yeah. Now, here's where Microsoft is smacking PlayStation. Microsoft very quietly put out this feature that nobody really paid attention to. It's called Smart Delivery, right? And in this Smart Delivery feature, the game that you download, because you have the Microsoft Xbox One, you have the Microsoft Xbox Series S, you have the Microsoft Xbox Series X. So depending on your level of commitment to Microsoft, they're saying, well, we will only download what you need. We're only going to download specifically to your console's need, and that's it, right? It's going to be a real quick upgrade system. Many people kind of just said, okay, whatever, that is what it is. But now when you play on PlayStation 5, you realize exactly how crucial that thing is. The upgrade process on the PlayStation 5 for Marvel's Avengers is as follows, and I quote, you have to have the original game on your hard drive. You have to have updated the original game for the 18 gigabyte update. You have to have done that for the original game. And then you have to go into the original game and do a save migration to take that and put it into the cloud. And then you have to download the PlayStation 5 version of said game. And then from there, you can download that save migration to your PlayStation 5. Mind you, the process is the same that there was for the Spider-Man remaster game that came packaged with Miles Morales. To do the same upgrade, you had to go through, you had to own the PlayStation 4 game, you had to upload that to the cloud, you had to download that from the cloud to put it into, it was a complete mess. So here's my personal experience. I knew that I had the upgrade. So what did I do? Because one, I played Marvel's Avengers on my PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 4 version, I played on the PlayStation 5. So I downloaded the upgrade and I deleted the PlayStation 4 version. I didn't need it. What did I need it for? I don't need it. Well, apparently I did need it because I had to go through and do the save migration. So I download the PlayStation 5 version, and in the process of downloading that one, I delete the PlayStation 4 version. And then the PlayStation 5 version downloads, and I see all the stuff that I got, you know, all the different costumes that I had unlocked. I see all that, but my progress is gone. I can't even go through a lot of the things that I was doing because it's gone. So then I have to go back and re-download my PlayStation 4 version just to upload my save file, just to download it to the PlayStation 5 before I can delete it again. Needless to say, I started the process 2 days ago, and I was just able to actually play it for 5 minutes yesterday. It's infuriating the amount of work that you have to do.
Yeah.
So Sony makes things overly complicated. It just doesn't need to be. Microsoft seen this coming. Microsoft seen it coming and said, we're just going to make this a really easy process. And that's the way next gen should be at this point. This is the way that you should be looking at helping the consumer. Microsoft is so consumer friendly at this point. It's not even close. It's not even close. Microsoft is smacking PlayStation in regards to being consumer friendly, thinking about what the actual consumer needs versus what Sony believes the consumer should be having. It's not even close. And it's frustrating that in this generation, Sony hasn't figured that out yet. The only thing that's keeping Sony ahead of Microsoft, if you will, is just brand recognition. People just buy Sony product. They buy the PlayStation. The African American community loves PlayStation. They love it. They love PlayStation. They don't even know why. I've been an Xbox guy, but even I own a PlayStation. Like it was ingrained in us with Madden. Anytime we would play Madden, we would play it on somebody's PlayStation. Yeah. So it's just been part of our culture growing up. Yeah. Even though Microsoft is the better system. So Sony needs to get it together, man, because it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense that we're still having these conversations in 2021.
No, it doesn't. And also with Nintendo having its issues with the Switch and the drift there as well, it's something that I think needs to be addressed by both these companies. And to see that Xbox is a platform where it doesn't have these issues, it speaks volumes as far as why they are now hopefully in this generation going to compete a lot better with Nintendo and Sony. But we'll wait and see, my friend. But yes, definitely things need to be changed. Maybe another lawsuit needs to go in hand like they did for Nintendo. So we'll see what happens, man. You might be part of that lawsuit. You might be part of a lawsuit.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, though. I'm hoping that things will get righted with the PlayStation, especially as more PlayStation 5s go out in the wild, hopefully one day, although they're still being snapped up like crazy. I want to go ahead and thank you so much, TJ, for stopping by today. I truly appreciate your time as always, my friend, and hopefully I'll be seeing you very soon with updates on Falcon and Winter Soldier and a lot more things in pop culture going forward.
Always, brother. Always. Can't wait to talk Mass Effect with you.
There you go. I can't wait to talk about it either, my friend. Right around the corner, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to a lot of great stuff as well. But again, it is TJ Johnson, my good friend. Appreciate all your insight, as always, right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos.
Video game box art, the stories behind the covers, in which we talk to the illustrators and artists who are responsible for gaming's most iconic images. Don't forget to check out Video Game Box Art, the stories behind the covers, celebrating gaming's most iconic images from the people who created them. This and many more from Rob McCallum Films.
All right, and we're back with the program. It's Gerald Glasser coming right back at you here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. And I'll tell you what, if you are a great supporter of Kickstarter projects that you need to take a look at, there is one out there that you definitely need to go ahead and take a gander at. And I know I did say gander, so I'm probably dating myself out there, but it is a great project that you need to go ahead and check out, especially if you're into video games, a longtime fan, you just got into video games or what have you. Please go ahead and support From Gamers Magazine. That's From Gamers Magazine. It's now available as part of a Kickstarter project from Gamers Magazine. They want to help make this reality. They want to make for you, the gaming fans out there, a true reality for this as far as a great magazine that could come to print, but they can only do it with your help on Kickstarter. So please look out on Kickstarter, From Gamers Magazine. You got to go ahead and check it out. And the man behind it is a man who has a great deal of experience in the realm of video games. GameSpot, IGN, he's got a cornucopia. He's got a resume that goes almost like the credits of a video game itself. Tell you what, he has got the experience and know-how to make this happen and to make this something gamers do want to really get into. It is Andrew Smith. And Andrew, thank you so much for being part of the program today.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's an ambitious goal for anyone to go ahead and put something on Kickstarter. I've spoken to several individuals who've done it in the past. This is no small undertaking. People who's out there who are looking to back a solid project need to go ahead and look into this. But the first question I have for you is, my co-host on my Monday show, Josh Peterson, had a long interview with someone also looking to do a gamer-centric type magazine called Lock On. And in doing so, they really got into depth with it. But as I was editing and producing and putting it out, I thought to myself, and I got a hold of you, and we were speaking right around that same time, is, okay, this is truly ambitious. And in the world and state we are in 2021 with the whole internet, as far as being able to access anything that you can, and you yourself has an awesome site that people have to check out, guidefold.com. You already have an awesome site on the internet. So what prompted you to go ahead and bring upon this challenge of bringing a video game magazine to life?
Well, first off, let me just say I'm a big fan of the guys behind Lock On. That is an awesome project they have going. I'm good friends with John, and we've been talking a lot about the projects together. So I would encourage everyone to go check that out too if they have a minute. But to get back to your question, I think there's just been a big gap in the industry for a long time with everything moving on to the web and being SEO focused, and it's really becoming more about clicks and less about people being able to tell their stories. And if a story doesn't necessarily get as many clicks as a very SEO focused guide or something else would. And so at Guidefall, a lot of what we do is, well, it's right in the name, it's video game guides. We're very SEO focused and we're very straight to the point because we want people to be able to find their answers, then go right back into their game and be able to play without having to miss time with their game. So I wanted to kind of have an outlet for our writers and for my friends in the industry and just for really anyone who wanted to share their story with games, their experience with games, to be able to have that without having to worry about all the SEO, without having to worry about meeting certain criteria for an article to be on the web, as opposed to a print magazine where you could just, you can write whatever you want as long as you have a base that is interested in your topics and interested in your publication, then you can just give it a go. So that's kind of where it got started, is just wanting to let people tell their story, tell their experience with games, and kind of bring back something that I feel like is missing in the industry ever since all those old great magazines have gone away.
Absolutely. As someone who has written quite a few articles, both myself and Josh are journalism graduates, and there's a lot that has to go into detail in creating a great article, great story. There's a lot of opinions for and against the video game industry, as far as those who don't truly understand it and those who truly embrace it, to create that kind of dynamic in a story or article and bring it to life, and to have people go ahead and communicate to you. Over the years, your work with IGN and GameSpot, I'm sure that you've collected quite a few fans out there and followers of your work. How important is it to you to go ahead and expand not just what you do in guidefall.com, but to go ahead and expand that into what you want to deal with From Gamers Magazine?
Like I kind of said, it's just really all about being able to share my experience with games and allow other people to be able to share their experience with games, because the medium as a whole is just a great place to be, and it's a great experience that everyone you can play the same game and everyone can experience something different.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really cool to have a place for people to be able to share that. People will get to know our writers, but we'll also have new writers in all the time sharing different experiences, different things about games that they like. And so, it may open up an outlet to someone else who's never thought about a game in a certain way, or maybe want to try a new game they've heard of, but they never thought about it from that angle or something like that. So just being able to share that with, my followers on Twitter. And I really don't have that big of an audience, but just the people I've met over the years, I think it's really cool to be able to share passion that I have with them and let them be a part of it, and kind of supporting the magazine, writing for the magazine, and all that good stuff.
Now, as someone who is going to be the main individual behind this, you will be seeing a lot of stories come across your way as far as people sending in this, as far as that you're more familiar with, or individuals that just are looking to go ahead and get an opportunity to be part of this with From Gamers Magazine. Are you looking for articles more of just their experiences with these games? Or are you looking more as far as past experiences, present experiences, or a mix of both?
Well, to be honest, just a little bit of all the above. We want to have a nice spread of content in the magazine, so it's not all super focused on one area. But it's kind of in the name, From Gamers. We want the whole idea of the magazine to be that it's written by gamers, just like you, just like me, just like the people with the blue check marks on Twitter, or the person playing at home with their kids. We just want it to be an all-encompassing, all-inclusive publication that anyone can feel free to submit an article to. You don't have to have experience to submit an article. Our editorial team will help you with all that. We just want people to be able to share their experience, their story, or even if they just love a franchise and want to share a little bit about the history to inform the readers, just stuff like that. We just want it to be a little bit of everything that everyone can enjoy.
Absolutely. And as someone like yourself and myself, as you can see behind my wall, has a lot of, impressions and experiences with video games from years gone by up till now. I mean, there's so much that you can deal with the video game industry that I talk about each and every week on our shows. But the fascination that we have as we go into a new console generation, I mean, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X, I think they have the potential to unlock even a greater bit of storytelling with the kind of depth, the kind of power that they can unleash. Your thoughts on this current console generation and the kind of things it can do for gamers that can not only provide stories for your magazine, but basically just provide a lot of entertainment for years to come.
I was really excited when I saw the reveal for the new Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5. Everything from just the design of both of the consoles to the content lineups, especially on the PlayStation side, just got me really excited. And hearing about the power behind the consoles to take games to a new level. I don't think we've really seen it yet, especially from Xbox, but I think over the years, we will start to see games and stories being told in a totally different way with totally new mechanics that we've never thought possible, we've never seen. So I'm really excited to buckle up and watch the ride, but I'm especially excited to see, I'm a longtime Xbox fan, so I'm especially excited to see what Xbox has in store for the coming years. The lack of a big release when their console release was kind of a bust a little bit, but I'm hoping that they'll have some stuff in the lines and in the works, and even indie titles, giving a shout out to some of the smaller teams doing awesome things is really exciting to me.
Well, I think with both manufacturers, Sony and Xbox, the reason why they both sold so well coming out of the gate is the fact that you're buying it on hope. You're
Right.
buying it on the estimation that you're going to be getting a lot of great stuff in the future once these publishers, including Sony and Microsoft, catch up to it with all their games that they've got coming down the line. And I wanted to ask you this, when it comes to that expectations that you have, I mean, Xbox has clearly cornered itself and trying to go ahead and get you involved and hooked, not necessarily on the Xbox Series, but on the Xbox Games Pass, which has now become their most important thing as far as
Absolutely.
the future going forward. I want to hear your thoughts on how that is evolved from, you know, what you're used to in the past to now. Like you said, you know, we're talking about dealing with this going forward, the Xbox Series X. Like, you're an Xbox fan. I'm trying to stay on the fence. Depends with me on the game. I try to stay on the fence. I know my Monday host is an Xbox fan. I know my Friday host is a Sony fan. But when it comes down to it, what are you wanting to see as far as Xbox do and create as far as for a magical experience? Because Xbox Games Pass seems to be their primary focus at this point in time.
Absolutely. Well, I would agree 100% that Game Pass has really been the biggest win that Microsoft and Xbox has had in the past years. You know, there's kind of a bust there with the launch of the Xbox One, and things were kind of getting a little rocky there for a little bit. But then when Game Pass came out, you know, that was kind of a game changer. And it started a little bit slow, but then over the years and months, as new games got added and accessibility options were made available to everyone, the fact that you can play, I don't even know how many games are on there, hundreds of games for $10 a month, it's just an amazing thing. And now that there's even more titles on there, you know, it's almost like every day I look on Twitter and I see something new is being added to Game Pass. And the fact that people are getting to play all these new games, any Xbox exclusive is going to be on there day one. People are getting to play these old games they missed out on, all for an affordable price, I think is just really special. And especially with places like GameStop and other type of rental stores going away. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with the Redbox machines, but we have those here in Alabama. I mean, they don't sell games anymore. That used to be a great place to rent games. You know, there's no movie gallery or Blockbuster anymore that you can go rent games from. So the fact that you can have access to all those games for $10 or $15, whatever it is right now a month, is just a really awesome thing and a really user-friendly thing. And I think it's going to be the biggest thing for Microsoft and Xbox going forward into the next generation and into the future, wherever that takes them. Just the fact that you can sign on, download a game, and get right to it, I think it's just really awesome.
And you're going to have a lot of these stories as part of From Gamers Magazine. And please, if you can, support From Gamers Magazine today. They're almost at their goal, but it's going to take you, the fan out there, to get them over that goal. Please go ahead and support a great cause today. From Gamers Magazine. It's available right now on Kickstarter. You got to go ahead and be part of it, because you are going to see some of these stories talking about not only from the generations past, but the generations now that are being created and what's coming up in the future. One of the things I want to ask you is about the magazine video game life itself. I mean, it's not what it once was. I mean, you go to a bookstore like Barnes & Noble and whatnot, and you walk in there, and the magazine rack, which was once filled with an entire section of video game magazines, it's not there. I mean, for me, the heyday, and I'm sure I've gotten some flack over the years for saying this, so I think the heyday of video game magazines was in the mid-2000s, which you had so many different magazines that were out there, not only independent, but some that were based primarily for Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox. I want to hear your thoughts about that and what you want to do with From Gamers Magazine about bringing that excitement about a video game magazine to life.
Well, I think gaming magazines, there was a really big time in the industry when gaming magazines were a core part of it, where it's where you got your news, it's where you got your reviews, it's where you got your information on what happened at E3. You know, it was a staple in the industry for a very long time. And then as websites started to pop up and news online became more accessible, you know, that kind of hurt the magazine industry to a degree where it almost put it out of print. And I think now that the web is getting so big and people are getting their information online is so much, and there's a big focus on SEO and to a degree clickbait, people are almost missing the feel of just being able to sit down with a magazine while you're on the couch watching TV with your family, flipping through and reading the stories of just genuine stories that aren't filled with any kind of advertisements or SEO focused or anything like that. It's just genuine stories about video games. And of course, no one's going to come to a magazine in 2021 and wanting gaming news. They're going to go to their favorite website for that. But I still think there's a core aspect of the gaming magazines that's missing from the gaming industry of storytelling and of fun, creative art design, just stuff that the internet can't do for you that I think people miss. And I think that's easily shown by the nearly 100 backers we have on our Kickstarter campaign. And there's tons of other great small publications out there that have have a really good following. And there's Switch Player Magazine that focuses on Switch. There's the guys from Lock On. There's Ninty Fresh. There's tons of small magazines that have a really dedicated audience. And I think that just shows that people really miss gaming magazines, and they miss the just the feel of being able to sit down with something in their hands, flip through it. Like you said, you go to the bookstore. You used to see tons of magazines over there, and now all you see is like Men's Health and Science Magazine and all this other stuff. You don't see anything gaming related, and I think people really just miss that. I know when I still go to the bookstore, I will look every now and then just to see if anything new's popped up. And for the last 10 years, let me tell you, there hasn't been anything new that's popped up.
No. I mean, basically at best, maybe some gamer guides, but
right.
Yeah, that's something that, again, is sorely missed in our gamer society, and that is a true gamers magazine. Lock On, again, guys were here last week and said great things. Hopefully people will back that project, but I also want people to back your project because from what I've seen, the potential is outstanding. But before you head on out, my friend, it's time for you to do the hard sell. Andrew Smith, on what's going on with From Gamers Magazine and why people need to go ahead and back this truly awesome project.
Well, let me tell you, we're down to the final days of our Kickstarter campaign. At the time of recording, I think we have 7 days left. When this goes out, we'll have only a few days left. Right now, we're less than $500 away from funding the first 2 issues of the magazine. Each issue will be 50 plus pages long, filled with reviews, previews, awesome features, cool art design, and the best part, or my favorite part anyways, is lots of great writers. We're introducing lots of new voices, stuff you'll be maybe familiar with, some you maybe never heard of before. We're going to bring in a lot of different creators, a lot of different artists, a lot of different gamers. We're going to bring it in. It's going to be something really special. We're going to have lots of community interaction planned, and just a really great place for like-minded folks who miss gaming magazines, who miss the feel of old school gaming, and who really just want to feel connected in the gaming industry to come together in one place, sit down, and look forward to their From Gamers Magazine.
Awesome indeed. Once again, it's Andrew Smith. Check out not only his awesome site, that's guidefall.com, with a whole array of information and articles that are out there already in regards to the video game industry. Have only a few days left, and once you hear this, to go ahead and support his awesome Kickstarter project, From Gamers Magazine. If you're someone like me that misses the old days in many ways, one of the things that I miss so much is having the feel and look of being part of something that's truly awesome and something that I truly enjoyed a part back in the day, and that was video game magazines. You need to get this video game magazine to life. It's up to you out there to go ahead and support this awesome project. It is From Gamers Magazine. I highly encourage you to go ahead and support this project. It is available right now on Kickstarter.com. It is From Gamers Magazine. And Andrew, you're always welcome back on the show anytime you want to talk video games, because I could talk video games to death right now at any point in time. But I am truly thankful and blessed that you came on the show, and I wish you tremendous success with the project and the magazine going forward.
Well, thank you so much. It was great to be here and be able to talk games and share a little bit about From Gamers Magazine. I'm really excited about what we have planned, and I hope your listeners will join us for the ride.
I hope so as well. One last thing, though.
Sure.
What is your favorite video game all time? If you had to go ahead and center on one, I know you probably get to ask this all the time on interviews, but I got to go ahead. If you had one, if you're on an island all by yourself, you had one, what would that be?
I tell you what, I really, really love Super Mario Odyssey. Something about it. I don't know what it is. You know, I'm a little younger, so I missed out on all the on the older Nintendo games. But when I got in on Super Mario Odyssey, I couldn't put it down.
Oh,
hoping for a sequel. Hoping for a sequel.
Well, there you go right there. That's awesome. Awesome choice indeed. I remember when I was at the video game store and I was selling copies of that like crazy because people just cannot stop loving Mario. So again, Andrew Smith, I truly appreciate you being part of the show. You're always welcome back to be a part of the pop culture cosmos.
If you need your video game fix, be sure to check out Retro City Games. Located in Town Square on Las Vegas Boulevard or in Henderson, Nevada, Retro City Games has the cure for all your video game vices. Retro games and games for current consoles, Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, Xbox, and more. Retro City Games has all the staples from any library and some highly collectible offerings too. So pick up a few games today at Retro City Games in Town Square on Las Vegas Boulevard or in Henderson, Nevada. Retro City Games is your video game metropolis.
And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. Want to thank so much Andrew Smith from, because I can't say from from Gamers Magazine. Please support this awesome Kickstarter project today. There's just a few days left. If you are interested in reviving the world of video game magazines, please support this awesome one. And also last week with Josh's Lock On magazine, that video game magazine on Kickstarter, please support that as well. 2 great video game magazines, 2 weeks in a row. We've had a great opportunity, but please, we want to go ahead and thank Andrew Smith for being on the show. Also as well, thanks so much TJ Johnson for bringing this potential issue of the PlayStation 5 and controller drift issues, similar to what we've seen in Nintendo Switches, that to life as well. I know coming up on the Monday show, speaking of Nintendo Switch, we kind of avoided the confirmed rumor that's out there that there will be an upgraded Switch. So we will be addressing that on the Monday show as far as what we're looking for in the new Nintendo Switch that hasn't been announced as of yet officially, but according to Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, who is the leading video game reporter, he said that there's a new Nintendo Switch, a bumped up 720p, some better fancy stuff that's put in there. Basically, it's a way for Nintendo to bump up the price on the unit. So we're going to go ahead and talk more about that on the Monday show. Plus, we've got a review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 2 coming up, and so much more. Marcus unfortunately will not be here next week. Something about an anniversary. I don't know what he meant by that, but I'll go ahead and we'll give him the week off. But I'm looking forward to talking to Josh and hopefully Jamie Monroy of Game Source. It'll be a Game Source Pop Culture Cosmos crossover once again. So we're looking forward to that next week, maybe on Monday, maybe on Friday as well. So we're looking forward to that. But before we head on out, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and hit you up with this part 1 of our preview for Wrestlemania coming up. I know I have a lot of good conversations on the way on various facets of pro wrestling and the WWE. But first off, I wanted to go ahead and talk with you about Wrestlemania itself. It's coming up in April. It's coming up as a 2-day event, similar to what they did last year because of issues going on with the pandemic and all that. I thought that was a brilliant move by the WWE. One of the few things I definitely 100% buy in and agree with the WWE, because I don't do that a lot. Haven't done that a lot in 20 years.
Yeah.
As far as 100% agree with anything that they did. But
I was going to say it's been since like 1998 that maybe even into 2003 that I think I actually agree with something they did.
Well, actually, the day before Stone Cold Steve Austin turned heel. But anyways, I want to go ahead and talk about Wrestlemania being a 2-day event. It is a 2-day event again this year, Tampa Stadium. They're going to have 2 days. They've already got a card lined up as far as some great matches. And I don't want to go on the matches just yet because it is subject to change. You never know with coronavirus. But I want to ask you this. Wrestlemania is a 2-day event. The upcoming Dallas and I think Los Angeles Wrestlemanias in the next 2 years are still scheduled as of this time as a 1-day event. I want to hear your thoughts on the possibility of a 2-day event for those dates. Do you think it should stay a 1 or do you think it should stay a 2-day event for WrestleMania? Because I'm wholeheartedly in the camp of being a 2-day event.
See, and I guess I'm a traditionalist. I'm in the camp of it being a 1-day event because don't take $120 from me. Just take 65 or 75, whatever it is for the pay-per-view, man.
But now you don't have to. You can just go and head over to Peacock.
Peacock, that's right. I forgot about Peacock being the big ticket here. Hey, you know what? Traditionalists need to just get out of the way sometimes. So yeah, go ahead, keep it as a 2-day event. My only problem is when you draw out an event like WrestleMania like this, what happens to the numbers? And that's something I actually don't have any data from last year to see how the numbers did.
Well, I can give you an idea as far as the attendance is concerned, is that they'll most likely sell out the limited attendance. I think it's like 25 to 35,000 that they're going to have there each night.
Right.
And it looks like they're going to sell out of both. I think if you put it at 50 or 60,000, you would sell out both nights. I think for a lot of people, it's an easier thing. I can tell you, back in the day when it was a 2.5-hour event or a clean 3-hour event, 3.5 maybe hours, but let's say a basic 3-hour event. When it was a 3-hour event each and every year, easy watch, no problem.
Yeah,
not a problem.
I love that.
When it became a 5, a 6, and 7-hour event, it's so draining. It's just so tiresome. A lot of people were burnt out and you can't enjoy it. By the time you would finally get to the main event, you just I want it to be over. That's what you're thinking in your mind. You just want it to end. The last 2 matches, 3 matches on the card.
Yeah,
with
always.
a 2-night event, you keep the crowd interested. You have the whole week and you have the whole weekend to yourself as far as WWE. Yes, you have a lot of other independent stuff that's going on. AEW is going to be running shows, et cetera, but people are there mainly for you and your products for at least 5 days. You have to capture that audience. You can span it out any way you want. And to have WrestleMania go over 2 days in a 3 hour fashion each day, make it 3 hours each day, 3.5 hours each day. To me, that's much better for your audience. You capture that energy and you keep that energy all weekend long.
Yeah, I see your point there, Gerald. You know, having the 2-day event with 2-3 hour events where, you know, you can really keep that captive audience and they don't start wandering, they don't start drifting, they don't start playing on their phones, they don't start doing everything that we do when we're bored and watching TV and just trying to fill time, right? You know, that doesn't start happening at hour 3 and, hour 3.5 or, hour 4, whatever it is.
You can actually also even have something exciting happen on Saturday that can carry over on Sunday. Let's say you have a championship match or something as far as a number one contendership match on Saturday. Yeah. Instead of running it that same night and having someone fatigued going against somebody else and trying to go ahead and have that, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't from a storyline standpoint. Have it that next night. You can, there's just so many more and better scenarios that you can create with a 2-day event.
Yeah, I understand that argument there, dude. It's just my only problem is there used to be some magic to that 1-day event before we started doing 6, 7, 8 hour streams. There's something magical about it to me, but yeah, I'm with you, man. More content for the fans. That's always going to be best at the end, especially a 2-day event like this where you can split it 3 and 3. I get it.
Well, those magical days are gone, my friend. I mean, you're now dealing with a situation, like I said, 7 hours. You're also talking about Peacock. I mean, it's not going on you can still buy a pay-per-view, but really when you can buy it for $5 a month on Peacock, why would you really want to go and do that? So, I mean, it's just not the same in 2021 as it was in 1999.
It's really not. I get that. And I'm on board with this now. I know that we have to, I'm one of the biggest proponents always for modernizing our delivery chain here for entertainment content. So, yeah, this is a modernization that I just need to come on board with. And the 2-day event for Wrestlemania, man. As far as next year, the foreseeable future, I think they're going back to Arlington, Texas, aren't they?
Yep, they're going back to Arlington, Texas Stadium, AT&T Stadium, I think it's called.
And then they're going to SoFi.
And to go finally to SoFi, which it was scheduled. It was already supposed to happen because of coronavirus. It got pushed back. But it's still just supposed to be something that's special. And I think to not burn out your audience like you do now in every year now that you've had it up until last year, I think it's probably wiser to do a 2-day event. It's just, to me, is wiser. I'm just saying right now, I think it's probably for the best until something comes up long term. I think for the foreseeable future, at SoFi, at AT&T. Maybe they're worried about not selling out AT&T. That's a 100,000 seat stadium 2 days in a row. I don't think they could do that. Put 200,000 people in the stands for a weekend. I get
that's
that,
a lot.
But they could.
Yeah,
but they
that's
could
a big
put
ask, dude.
They could put 120,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, just split it. Just do 60 on day 1, 60 on.
Yep. And you end up making more money. You end up making more money over the course of a weekend. You've got that captured audience. You still can put the Hall of Fame and the NXT shows on Friday and Thursday. You could lead that in with the Monday and Wednesday shows that you have already, plus the Friday SmackDown. I mean, there's just so much you could do with this. It makes so much more sense to put it 2 days, especially if you're going to, after this gets out, and go into Dallas and LA in the coming years and still drag this out over 7 hours, because people are just going to be upset all over again.
That's a really interesting perspective there, dude. And I think I'm on board with that entirely. But yeah, I mean, the jump back to the 1-day special next year, very concerning, I guess, in light of, the image you just painted for me. But I mean, if we do trim this up, I mean, even a 5-hour performance, I'd be on board for. I think I'd be able to sit and watch. I don't know, but
let me ask you this: could you sit through the Justice League?
I did.
Okay. How many people are sitting through the Justice League all 4 hours in a sitting? Remember we talked to Josh and he couldn't
do
it.
He broke it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of the people I work with broke it up and they watched the first 3 parts and they watched the rest of it.
I'm just not convinced, but I think it should go to a 2-night event with all the wrestlers you have on the roster and all the storylines that you could create from a 2-night scenario. If it's your most special night of the year, I would say go to a 2-night from here on out. But what are your thoughts out there on Wrestlemania going to a 2-night format like it has this year and last year, and possibly you wanting to keep it at a 2-night event instead of going back to a 1-night event that it looks like it's heading to for the next couple of years. We want to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. I cannot thank you enough for being here. Appreciate it. I know you're going to be off next week. Again, something about an anniversary, Mr. Marcus there. But any last thoughts on the way out?
Yeah, selfishly, I'm going to say, early happy 5 years to my wife. But in light of the push timelines that we talked about this time, again, I'm going to preface this with, it probably isn't the last time, but I hope this is the last time we have to discuss push timelines.
It won't be, my friend. Unfortunately, it won't be. So for Marcus de la Garza, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.
Here at the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, we make every show from the finest ingredients.
Juicy interviews, fiery film nights, delicious Desert Island DVDs.
And pack it all into a slice of life in every episode.
Order up our specials now from your delivery guys.
Sean from Canada, Dan from Kent in the UK,
and Paul from near Liverpool in the UK.
Here on the ESO Network.
The Cosmic Pizza Podcast.
Serving you a slice of life.
Mm-mm.
You're listening to a Weeby Geeks Network podcast.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping for the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Tangent Bound Network. Let your voice be heard. TangentBoundNetwork.com.
Thanks so much for downloading the Pop Culture Cosmos, and stay tuned as more great podcasts are on the way. Thanks again for listening to us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos.